What's up, guys? I'm excited for this interview with Shayne Hillier over here. We've been trying to get him in the six-figure digital mark here for like 2 freaking months now. And why he's so special is he kills it with real estate clients. And I know a lot of you guys in here have questions around how to run campaigns for real estate. So we'll knock all those out on this live here. So if you're on the replay, give me a hashtag replay. If you're on the live right now, give me a hashtag live, just so I know you're here and just so that we can reach more people and get our message out. And if you have any questions during this live, please drop them down below. Shayne Hillier will answer all of them for you. And especially for those people in the real estate niche or want to target for real estate agents, or if you are a real estate agent, we have a few in here. So Shayne, I will just let you introduce yourself. Thank you so much for being here, man.
Hey, no problem. My pleasure. I know I think it's been more than 2 months we've been trying to get together. I think
Right.
since you started this group, we've been trying to, but honestly, thanks a lot for having me here. I love the group. I've been here, I think, since the inception of this group, and I've watched it grow, and it's been pretty phenomenal. So, I
Thanks.
like introduction, Andrew. Like, how far back do you want me to go here? I mean, I've done a lot in my life. I started I started a business when I was 17 years old. I was painting, and then I started a delivery company, and then I started a software company, a services company. Like, I've done multiple businesses, and then my last company, what ended up happening was that I actually was partner in a hardwood manufacturing company, and we were starting to do a lot of digital advertising, and that went into like face or Google ads and some Facebook stuff, and then eventually that I left that company and I started looking for something else, and I came across actually I was doing website stuff and programs for WordPress, and from that I ended up finding Dan Henry's group, and so I got into digital advertising, took the course, and and I started working with real estate agents, and mostly because I have some background in real estate. We've been buying, flipping homes for the past few years, and it's something that we really enjoy doing. So part of my network included a number of different real estate agents. So when I first started, it was just kind of natural to sort of get into that, and that's sort of what started things off. It's been about a year, probably about almost a year and a half, that I've been toying around with Facebook ads. It took me about 4 months before I hopped on to Dan Henry's course, where I ended up actually meeting you. And
Mhm.
from that, I just started doing trials and working with, and I've worked with all kinds of, like, I've worked with chiros, I've worked with dentists, I've worked with, I had two nonprofit agencies that I did some ads for.
Mhm.
And I was just always going back to real estate, and just something that I just really like looking at houses. It's like, and I like going to open houses, and I like, it's just really natural for me. So that's kind of, so that's where I am now. So I work exclusively with real estate, mostly with brokerages. So I don't typically work with individual agents, and for a number of different reasons. I just find it, well, the biggest reason is because I like working with the business owners, and typically the brokerages are well established, and it's just a natural thing for me. So
I love it, dude. Awesome. And I want to say what's up to Christian, Rachel, and Guy. Thank you for saying that you're here. Give me a what's up if you guys are here on the live. But we were talking before we hopped on here that you went from like struggling from zero, making no money per month, to 30K real quick.
yeah.
So give us a little insight on how those 4 to 6 months were with just struggling to just crushing it. And what was that switch that happened that helped you land those clients and get those results leading up to it to actually land those clients? So
Yeah, so two things. So in my first 3 months, when I got into this, I was trying to do it on my own, and I watched, for anybody that's familiar with Dan, and I watched his webinar, and I started, like, just playing around and testing ads and trying to get some clients and stuff like that. But I really know what I was doing, right? So I did that for 3 months until I pulled the trigger. I ended up buying the course. And that really changed the way I was able to onboard clients, but I still wasn't making money. And I think the biggest problem was that I just wasn't listening. I was kind of doing my own thing. And I think that just comes with the fact that I'm a little stubborn. I feel like I know what I'm doing. And I was just, I think that's also part of the process, right? I mean, you fail to learn. And I'll be honest, I did 11 trials. I failed every single one of them. I know it's just, and I say fail as in I didn't get a paying client out of it, right? Some of them are successful, they're okay. I was targeting just a lot of mistakes, right? I was working with the wrong clients. I was working with the wrong agents when I was doing real estate. I was targeting the wrong niches. And then I think what ended up, the real switch was a meeting with a client that I had, and was a brokerage. And when I had 2 meetings with this brokerage. And what ended up happening was, in my first meeting, I sat down and I just listened. That's all I did. And so I went back to what I used to do back in the days where we used to try it. Like, I used to work with, I've worked with companies like Walmart, Coca-Cola, like really, really large corporations. And we used to have these, it was never like, you'd never go into a meeting and close a deal. It was always, you'd go into a meeting, you'd sort of investigate, and you'd provide some consulting, and then you'd put a proposal together, you meet again, then you'd meet with another group of people. And it was this long chain of meetings until you got the deal, right? So this is what I started doing with real estate. So I had this one meeting, and I just sat there and I listened to them. And what was amazing is that in that meeting, they didn't care about leads. They couldn't care less about generating leads. They had other problems they needed to solve. And that's what I did, is I solved those problems, which eventually led to landing my second largest client. That ended up being a $6,000 a month contract. And that was actually my first contract. And that was really the switch, is just going into these meetings and just listening to the problems and then addressing those with real solutions. And a lot of times these clients don't care about getting more leads. In fact, a lot of clients don't want more leads because guess what it does? It creates more work.
Yep.
So that's, I think that was the big turning point for me, was just, going into these meetings and really listening to what people want, as opposed to, assuming you know what they want and then providing them a solution that makes absolutely no sense.
Yeah. So when you were in that meeting and you were listening to the problems that they had, what were some of the solutions, or what were some of those problems, and what were some of the solutions that you came up with to fix those problems?
The number one problem we all have. People don't call back. I mean, it's our agents don't like. And in fact, this brokerage, they were doing Facebook ads, they were doing Google AdWords, they were spending thousands of dollars a month, and their biggest issue is they could not convert those leads. And what was the same problem we all have with most of the agents that we work with is you generate leads, you pass them on, and they don't convert them. They don't follow up. They don't make the phone calls. They call once and then forget about them. They send out an email and they think that's enough. And that's the problem that this brokerage was having, is that they were generating leads and their agents were just not following up with them. And when I took them over, they were generating anywhere between 350 to 400 leads a month through their website. And I know it's like crazy.
Yeah.
And so here's a little like,
I couldn't imagine like a new person in agency going in there and being like, I'll get you 30 leads this month. And then them just be like, yeah, we already get 450.
Yeah. So, and honestly, so this was actually a brokerage that I had, I wanted to land. So I was working with the regional owner of so I was doing a bunch of trials with the regional owner of the company. And I was doing that so that he would make the introduction and the referral into this one brokerage. And so, and eventually I ended up getting the introduction and I got the referral. but I was crushed when they told me that they did Facebook ads. I was like, oh my God, all this work and all this effort that I did to try and like prove to this guy that, that I can do Facebook ads. And now I'm talking to this other brokerage and they're already doing Facebook ads. Like it was a real downer, right? But we ended up turning that around. So.
Nice. So they wanted they wanted higher quality leads and they wanted more people to pick up their phones. So kind of to dig a little bit deeper on that, what were some of the solutions that you helped whip up?
It was simple. Okay, well, listen, here, learning this with a couple of clients that I was working with and just research that I was doing online, and then just some of my previous experience. Instead of I had to focus on something else, right? Like I couldn't focus on Facebook ads. I couldn't focus on Google AdWords, which I don't like. I do some of it, but I'm not an expert at it.
Mm-hmm.
But I really, really wanted this account. So
Mm-hmm.
I basically told, listen, the problem is simple. All you need is somebody to call your leads. So that's what I did, right? So that was my solution, was basically, let me take over your lead generation and I'll assemble a team and we'll go ahead and make sure that all those leads that are coming in, and to be honest, the first month I ran no ads for them. Basically, I used that time to assemble a very, very small team, just like basically one person, and just follow up with all those leads that were coming in from the existing ads. And that was essentially the solution. They just, and that's what we started doing. We started calling the leads, and I think this, that we do all the follow-ups as well. So we've assembled a team, and we do all the follow-ups with the companies that we and that's all they needed. That's what they wanted. And I realized that not everybody can do this. Not everybody can go out and put a team together. Not everybody has the opportunity to land a client. But I think the point is to try to figure out what the pain points are, what the problems are, and then find a solution to those. Because that's not the only client that we landed that had a problem that had nothing to do with Facebook ads. We've had other clients that we recently, we had one that had a problem with a website, and that's how we ended up landing them. We signed them to do all their lead generation stuff as well.
So how did you compensate that person for making those calls every day? Did you compensate them on a per call basis? I'm super curious about this.
I winged it. Just like, so I threw up an ad. I don't know if you guys have Kijiji in like in the US, but in Canada, we have Kijiji. So I just threw up an ad for somebody that is willing to make phone calls. And surprisingly, I was able to find somebody that's what they do. They work for small agencies, and like she was just a single person, and she makes phone calls for people. And so I threw a number at her that I thought I could afford, and she's local, she's bilingual, she speaks English and French, and she didn't charge me a whole lot back then. And it was just one client that I needed to do this with, and I knew that with real estate agents, in order for me to be, I had to do something about the conversion rates, because if there's anybody that's done real estate for a long period of time, they know that generating leads is one thing, but converting those leads into an actual sale, which is the result that you need in order to maintain your clients, is very, very difficult. And you need to work with agents that have killer follow-ups. And people that are willing to pick up the phone 3 times on the first day and send out an email that night and send text messages all every single day. That's what it takes to convert some of these leads. And those agents are very difficult to find. So I knew that because I'd worked with a bunch of agents that didn't call anybody. And so I knew that I could hire this one person part-time, and she would do the calls, and then we just grew from that.
Cool. Did you pair month to month? Was that the structure, if you don't mind me asking?
What do you mean? Oh,
Uh,
pay her. I didn't catch that. Pay her month to month?
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It was
Okay,
so it
cool.
was a it was a very small fee that and I compensated her. I think she worked like at the beginning maybe 3 hours a day or something like that. So just and it was like work in the morning, work in the afternoon. I was like just try to get to those leads as quickly as you possibly can as they
Okay.
come in, and then and she was happy with that. She was fine. So.
Yeah, and what was the close rate at the end of that first month?
Sorry, what was that?
What was the close rate after that first month that you kept working with that client? So did they see a bigger conversion rate from that month of
Yeah,
her doing
or
follow-up?
absolutely. I mean, we are, so we started with that client in December is when we signed them.
Mhm.
And in the region that they're in, like it's very seasonal here. So you'll see that real estate will start picking up in February, and then all the deals will start closing in May and then June, and then it's going to die down in the summer again. And it's going to really die down in the summer.
Mhm.
So we're starting to see transactions now that are closing. We're starting to see leads from that we generated back in December. They're finally getting out there and looking at houses, and we're booking appointments now and stuff like that. So we book, I would say our conversion rate to a booked appointment is somewhere between 10 to 14%. Like that's roughly what we're doing. And so that's a lead to an agent booking an actual appointment with that
Mhm.
person. So,
Mhm.
and I think that's a pretty decent conversion rate. We're going to see here at the end of the season what the conversion rate is from lead to transaction, and then
Mhm.
it'll give us some really good numbers. But like we've got other clients where we've gotten really lucky. We've been able to convert from a lead to an actual like to a listing, for instance, in 3 weeks.
Mhm.
It just really depends on the regions, and you know sometimes it's I hate saying it's luck, but sometimes it's like it's a lead that you just end up having to they end up having a house they want to list. So
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
but the thing is, it's really important to in front of those leads as quickly as possible,
Mhm.
and to stay in front of those leads as long as possible,
Mhm.
because so like our follow-up system is infinite. We just keep calling and calling, and like we'll call like the first 5 days every day, and then we'll drop that down to every 3 days, and then we'll keep calling like once every 2 weeks, and then once a month or so.
Mhm.
Is kind of how we do it.
And then you got that email sequence in the background that's
Absolutely,
going
yeah.
for like what, 2 months at least?
It's 108 days right now.
180 days. Jesus. That's
So
awesome.
I just looked at it's a Word document right now, like that, like we pull and we copy it into different sequences that we're doing.
Mhm.
Was looking at it's 48 pages long right now. So it's a massive email sequence. And then we have text messages that go out as well.
Yeah. Are we still turning that into a bot or is that?
Absolutely, yeah. So for sure we're working on it. So we're in the middle of it right now, and we're going to try to put together this nurturing bot. And yeah.
I love it. So the question on a lot of people's minds are how do you structure your campaigns? So give us the different types of campaigns that you can run for real estate agents. And then if you can go into a little like let's just start there. What are the different campaigns that you
Well,
can
I
run for
mean,
real estate
the
agents?
most common one that everybody sees is a list of homes that you can offer to somebody, right?
Mhm.
So and I run those as well. In fact, one of my most successful campaigns right now with one of my clients is a list of homes. I have the copy is a little bit different, but so list of homes, listings. So if you have an agent that has individual listings, just basically advertising the listings, or using somebody else's listing. So if you have an agent that doesn't have a listing, you could just use somebody else's listing, right? Have just either call another agent and ask them if you can promote, like you're working with another agent, and can you promote that listing? So the listings work really, really well. If you want to get into more, you could do open houses, you could do sold lists. I mean, there's a lot of different types of campaigns. We do some luxury stuff. You can do new construction, which works really well. And then, there's the whole question, and I bet you, I don't see the comments, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's a couple on there that are asking about seller leads. And if they haven't been asked yet, I'm sure it's on everybody's minds, like, what do you do for seller leads, right? So one of the campaigns that I run so here's the thing. Every single client that I work with will ask me, they want sellers. And the reason why is because if you have the listings, you dominate the market. And that's why it's a smart move on the agent's, in terms of like what the agent wants to do in their strategy. It's because they'll dominate that market if they have listings. And that's why they want seller leads, right? The problem is that seller leads are really, really difficult to capture. And for a number of different reasons, but the biggest reason is, at least I feel, is that by the time you capture a seller or somebody that is thinking about buying a home, or selling their house, it's too late. And the reason for that is because they've already talked to all their friends about it. They've talked to their family members about it. They've talked to other agents about it. They've already gotten appraisals or evaluations done on their homes. And they're sort of at that point where it's like, oh, we're ready to list. And so you need to capture them before that. And I've sold a lot of homes. So we've owned a number of homes and we've sold a lot. I've talked to a lot of sellers. I do tons of customer research. And I feel that the first thing that people do when they start thinking about selling a home is that they're going to go out and look for a home first so that they can evaluate the market. They want to look at what's available. They want to look at what they can afford. And so that means that you need to put out there things that people are looking for, right? So I have a campaign right now, which is a list of homes that generates 90%. So 90% of those leads are seller leads. And it's just basically the way I've worded the copy and the listings that we're providing. It's basically an upgrade, like, or are you looking to downsize, or are you looking to retire, or are you looking to, so just think about the types of people that are looking to sell their homes, right? They're people that are either retired, or they're people that are looking to downsize, or people that can't afford the house that they currently live in, or they're relocating. So just adjust your copy and the list of homes that you're providing to cater to those types of people. And so that's what I do now. So when I talk to an agent that says, I only want seller leads, and I tell them, well, I only generate leads. That's what I generate. I don't generate seller leads. I don't generate buyer leads. I generate leads. And the reality is that we live in a time, and you've probably read this before at some of my posts and things like that. And I know I've talked about it in other groups about this, but we live in a time where home ownership is really, really high. In Canada, it's over 65, it's like 62%. But with families that have 2 kids or more, it's like 78% of people own their own homes. So just, think about the targeting, right? Think about the copy you're going to write and who you're going to write that copy for. And then same in the US, just based on the data, home ownership is still very high in the US as well. So I would say the majority of the leads that we're getting inside of the US, a lot of them are sellers.
That's awesome. So with your actual campaigns, what does the graphic look like? So do you use carousel ads? Do you use videos? What does that look like?
I test everything. So I'll test copy, I'll test the creative, and I'll run. So for instance, if I do like a list of homes, I'll run a carousel, single image, and then a slideshow as well. Just test those, and then I'll test 2 different copies. And so my wife actually does some of my copywriting as well. So right now, we're testing her copy against mine, and it's kind of like this thing we've got going on right. And hers is like the leads that we generate with her copy are usually 30-40% cheaper than when I use my copy. It's crazy. So that just goes to show that copy, it still matters quite a bit. And I'll tell you something, like, for anybody out there that's doing real estate, and the 2 biggest things, price and pictures. I've seen so many ads where you're like, people are just using crappy pictures. And I get it. Sometimes you don't have a choice to use, especially, so for instance, if you're doing like a list of homes, so we're in Toronto, and there's a client that I have that's north of Toronto, and we had like the average, so apparently like the average price is $330,000. You cannot find a house for under 450,000 in that area right now.
Wow.
Market or anything like that, you would basically go in there and do your research, and you would find that the median price point is 330,000, and then your pictures are going to look like crap, right? Because there's nothing available. You're going to have, a couple pictures of some shacks, and nobody's going to opt into that stuff, right? So like on the list of homes, typically what I do is I'll test multiple price points where I can find really, really nice pictures of like houses and kitchens, and the types of pictures that people want to look at.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. And I know a lot of you guys have questions about real estate because they're always asked in this group, and I'm like, I'm not the real estate expert. I'm bringing Shayne one of these days. So please ask them now. Abby, I know you're here. Hopefully you're still here. I know you work basically exclusively in the real estate niche, so throw those questions out there. We talked a little bit about your follow-up process. It's a lot of phone calls, it's text messages, it's emails. How did you come up with those follow-up scripts? And question on top of that, do you automate the text message follow-up, and what do you use for that?
Yeah, so well, basically it was just it was a lot of research. The other thing too is when you're working with clients, just ask them. Like a lot of these clients, like KW, for instance, I work a lot with Exit Realty in Ontario, even Remax and Century. These guys all have, like, they train their agents like crazy. These agents are constantly going out and training, and just ask them, like, could you, like, we're going to do some follow-ups. Could you provide the course material? And so like when I asked, so I asked one of my clients if they could provide me with all the course material that they have. They basically gave me like all these binders. So, and then there's a ton of information. If you just Google this stuff, right? Like there's so much information on real estate, and there's a lot of free information. And then YouTube was another great resource for me, just looking at live calls and what people were doing, trying to like basically cold calling FSBOs and sold listings or expired listings, and things like that. And just, look at what other people are doing. And then just based on that, we started building out our scripts for that. Yeah, our text messages, same sort of thing. I started, like, I was asking people what they were doing, just connect with a ton of other people that are doing real estate and see what they're doing, and then just get little bits and pieces. And I started assembling this pretty big, I guess, follow-up system. On our email side of things, I wrote everything from scratch. So it's 100%. Well, the thing is, I wanted to package it as something that I could offer to other clients, and to, because you're putting this in emails and it's written out, and, I wanted to be able to offer it to other marketers as well. I wanted to make sure that the content was 100%, our content, and it wasn't copied from anywhere. So, but yeah, like I just pieced a bunch of things together. Our text messages, we use clicks. So our text message follow-up, we use 3 different programs. And the reason why is because we're testing different things to see what's going to work better. And we're still in Canada. I can't do text messages. Like, it's really difficult in Canada because of the anti-spam laws. In the US, obviously it's a lot easier. So we use Ring Central, Click Send, and an Active Campaign to do all that stuff.
Cool.
Yeah.
So Active Campaign, Click Send, and what was the first one that you mentioned?
Oh, Ring Central.
Ring Central. Awesome.
Yeah. So Ring Central. Ring Central is what we use to do all our phone calls. And Ring Central is really cool because you can do, like, I can buy a phone number for, Florida, and then when I make my phone calls, it comes up as a Florida number. Or I can buy a phone. We own, like, I don't know, a dozen phone numbers right now. We're like for, all of our clients. So whenever we call, the phone number comes up as them. But you can also do text messages. And most of the text messages that are done through Ring Central are manual text messages. So that we'll make a phone call and then we'll send a text message right after. And that process is manual. And the text message will go out as the phone, like the local phone number within that region. And it's unlimited text messages and unlimited phone calls. You just pay the monthly fee and that's it. And then we use Active Campaign for text message feature in there. I use it to automate some of the text messages, but mostly to automate the notifications to the clients. So like when leads come in, I'll send out a text to the clients, letting them know that they got leads. Even though we do all the follow-ups, we've decided, and this is the decision that we decided to let our clients know that they're getting leads, because what was happening was, because the sales cycle was so long, my clients would be calling me up and they'd be like, where are our leads? Like, we just paid you $4,000. How come we're not getting any leads? And I'm like, because it's only been 2 weeks. Like, calm down, like we just got you 100 leads. We're nurturing them. We're going through them. It takes a little while. Like, just relax. So I switched everything up, and now I basically send all the leads to the client. Like, as soon as they come in, it goes to the client. They don't do any of the follow-ups or anything like that. But at least they get like something nice on their phone, and they see all the leads coming up on their phone, and makes them feel happy, and it gives them those warm and fuzzies that they need. So.
Yeah, that psychological boost when you get a lead in.
Exactly.
You're like, yes.
Absolutely. I love it. Like, I get, like, on my phone, I get like all day, like I'll get 50, 60 leads a day on my phone. And I love watching them come. It's like, oh, another lead for this client. Oh, there's another one. And then 5 come in right in one shot. Like, it's just crazy. I love it.
Yeah.
So
those little dopamine boosts are incredible.
That's right. It's like, what it actually works, right? It's like,
yeah.
The worst part about that, Andrew, is when, like, on a Sunday, when it's like
when
3 o'clock
in the
afternoon, and you've got 20 campaigns running and not one lead has come in yet. Or it's the week before Mother's Day, and it's like, you're getting 1 lead a day or something per account. It's just, oh my God.
It's bad. You get addicted to those dings and just the notifications, and you're like, should I run to my computer and fix this?
It's like, that's the name of the game, right? That's just part of it. So
100%. And we have a question here for you. Unfortunately, I can't see who it is since we're on Be Live and their API is broken. But he's saying, or she is saying, Shayne, do you use Lion Desk? And if so, do you generalize auto drip campaigns for all new leads? So you try to make different unique campaigns depending on the Facebook ad campaign you're running.
Right. So I've tested everything out, like, not everything, but I've tested Line Desk, I've tested Real Geeks, I've tested I've worked with Conversion, I've worked with OnJax, Agent Locator, like a ton of them, right? I did this because I want to understand the business. And I want to know, when I walk into a client site and they start talking about, hey, we're using Agent Locator, or we're using Bold Leads, or we're using whatever other service they're using, I want to know what the hell they're talking about, right? And I want to get caught up. So I've tested a lot of these. I have to say that I've also tested Follow Up Boss, which is a lot like Lion Desk. But Lion Desk is great. Like, it's a really, really nice program for what it's meant for. And we're actually currently testing Line Desk to possibly move away from what we're using currently. So I use Entreport, which is just, it's so flexible, and everything is customizable inside of it. But it's a little overwhelming. And sometimes more customization is not always a good solution, because when you start getting really, like, right now we're processing about 1,000 leads a month. And what ends up happening is we have all of these different automations, and as soon as I make one little change inside the automation, it basically ripples through the entire system, right? And I ran into this today, where I was like, I started up a new campaign 3 days ago, and then I made a change inside of our automation, and all those leads that got generated never received any of the email automations because of one little change that I made. So, sometimes when you get like when you start, you're thinking that like, you're doing good things with all this customization stuff, it just causes more problems. So now I'm looking into
Mhm.
line desk, because line desk it has like this tiered level. So you could be at the top as the agency and then sign up your clients below it, which is pretty cool.
Mhm.
It's like $25 a month.
That's awesome. Yeah, have you used Lead Out yet?
No, I don't. I'm not in the beta.
Oh
Sorry.
no, that's
No,
pretty cool.
and I don't think it's going to be all that useful to us, just because like our system automates everything right now. Like it notifies us instantly, and then it keeps notifying us. We get text messages, like, and our people are right there in front of their computer. That's what they do. They're there to pick up the phone and call and stuff like that. So I don't know how much how much it's going to benefit us. And
Mhm.
I'm already spending way too much money on software. It's like
Right?
this is crazy. So,
Yeah.
but and then to answer his other question about the email, so he asked about the email automation. Do I know the
Mhm.
automation is different? So basically, what I do is I copy and paste. So every time I bring on every time I build out a new client, I just copy one automation, and then what I do is I change the first email, and I make sure that our campaign has been built so that the first email can be pretty much anything you want, and then it just starts the drip after that. So the second email flows into the third flows into the fourth flows into the fifth, and so on. And it does that for 180 days.
Mhm.
That first email, I can make it anything I want. I can make it, a list of homes. I can make it a specific listing. I can make it whatever, and then just make it flow into day two, and then just, keep going.
I love it. Question I've been thinking about. I believe in the group you brought up that sometimes you use funnels and sometimes you use lead ads depending on the campaign. What's the reason for
I use them
why
together.
you would use them together? Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, yeah. So I typically, most of the campaigns that I run right now are lead ads, and it is 100% because I am lazy. That's why. It's because they're so easy to set up. I don't have to build out a funnel or some
Yeah.
page or whatever, right? And I know it just works. Um, it's instant. When somebody clicks that button, it's instantaneous. That form comes up. They fill it, like their information is already filled in. They just click the button and that's it. For
Hmm.
me, it's very, very important that I get as many leads as possible with a phone number. I don't care about the quality of the lead. I don't like it doesn't that part of it doesn't matter to me, because I know at the end of the day it's a numbers game. If I get 100 leads, I can convert those between 10 to 14 to 15%, and out of those ones I can convert them to, or like the agents I work with will convert those ones, at a certain percentage as well. So all I care about is generating leads for as cheap as possible. I don't care about the quality. And a lot of people talk about that, right? Funnels to
Hmm.
better quality, and that's fine, but I don't care about it. Um,
You
now,
just want more dopamine boosts.
that's right. I just want more leads. I just want more leads. However, that said, um, I will test funnels. So every once in a while, especially if I'm in a new city that I haven't worked in, I'll do both lead ads and then I'll run engagement campaigns as well, where I'll build out the ad on the business page, and then I'll connect it, like I'll connect the ad manager to it and then build that like an engagement ad, and then that'll have links to a funnel. And I say funnel like I like, to me when I think funnels, like 10 steps to get you to
Yeah.
like a $2,000 course. When you're talking real estate, there's no funnel there. It's one page with an opt-in. Like, if you guys really want to call it a funnel, it's not a funnel. But I'll do things like I'll run, I'll use like ClickFunnels is what I use, and I'll run it with my email campaigns. So for instance, I'm not boring you, am I, Andrew?
No, I just hid my yawn from everybody else.
That's good. So like I'll run it from my email campaign. So like in my day two, I have a link in there that says, hey, if you want to sign up for like instant notifications, click here. And that takes them to a ClickFunnels page, which is like the form that they fill out for like what kind of property that they're looking for. And when they submit that, then I get notified and it updates our database. So I'll use like funnels in that way. I'll also, when I build like most of the ads that I do, when I respond to like comments inside the ads, I'll then put links to ClickFunnels, like to the landing pages that I have built. And so that's how I use both. Sometimes I'll also like build out a small funnel just to like pre-qualify them. So like from the lead ad, I'll put a button, like the button on the thank you page will go to like a small survey just to pre-qualify them a little bit more. The reality is barely anybody touches that stuff. Like everybody's just, either lazy or they just don't have time or they're distracted by something else. So.
Good to know. What about targeting? So if you're going specifically after, you laughing already?
It's just because like targeting is such a big question. It's like, what do we target? What do we target? And it's like, I've got the worst targeting like strategy ever.
What's the secret sauce?
So I typically go wide in most cases. Like I'll usually test like two different audiences, and my first audience will always be a wide audience. So I'll basically just target everybody between the age of, and again, it depends. Like if I'm advertising retirement properties and I'm kind of looking for sellers, I'll go from like 30, like the one I'm running right now is like 45 to 65 right now. But I'll do like 28 to 60, and then I'll build another audience. And if anybody wants to see the proof here, Facebook's gotten really, really good at finding people for you. And people spend so much time on targeting and worrying about their targeting and what am I supposed to, and they end up spending so much money because to me, in my experience, the more you start narrowing down that target, like that audience, the more expensive your ads start getting. And like that CPM starts to go, like it rises, right? At least that's what I've found. And so I'll build that a second one. And typically I'll let the ads run for a month because now I've gotten pretty good at figuring out what's going to work and what's not going to work. Like I know what images to pick, I know the copies to write and stuff like that. And most of the ads that we run now usually work. So I'll run two audiences. One of them is an interest-based targeting audience. So I'll target things like, again, depending what the campaign is, but you might target like, I don't know, like people with kids or like families, grandparents, people that are married. So that might be one audience, right? Then I might build an audience that's like people that like HGTV, people that like Home Depot, people that like those are the people that own homes, right? Nobody that's renting loves Home Depot. Well, I mean, they might, but the majority of people, it's people that are own homes. So things that people, homeowners would like. And then you might do things like luxury audiences. There's a lot of targeting you can do for luxury as well, luxury cars, luxury homes, all that kind of stuff. So those are the different types of targeting that I may end up doing 100% of the time, with the exception of one campaign that I'm currently running right now. After a month, the cost for the cost per lead is identical, like within pennies from the wide audience to the targeted audience. It's incredible. And I've done this over and over again. So the targeted audience will start really low, like the leads will start coming in and the cost per lead's really, really low. And then slowly it will start going up. And then the wide audience, what will start happening is the lead costs are starting up really, really high. And then over time, they start to go down. And then all of a sudden after 3 months or 5 weeks, 6 weeks or so, it's almost the same. Then I just kill the audience and then I start over or whatever, right? And I'm from Canada, so most of the ads that I've run, like right now we have some clients in the US and I've been working a lot in the US, but I'm used to like no partner categories. Like we don't have that here. We don't have homeowners, renters, things like that. So we can't target based on like income-based targeting. We have none of that stuff. So I'm used to like trying to be creative in terms of like what should I be targeting, and I'm also used to testing out my wide audiences. What I can say is that try to keep your audience size within, like I try to keep it within 120 to 200,000. 150 is sort of where I try to stay for most of my campaigns. So, but like 120 to 200, anything above that or anything below that just doesn't seem to work as well. And so that's where I try to stay within.
That's awesome. I have a couple more questions for you guys. If you have any questions for Shayne, we'll answer them all at the end. So drop them down below right now, any of those questions. The next question was in regards to, was it targeting or was it, oh no, it was scaling your ads. So you say you test a lot. How do you go about scaling your ads? When's the best time to scale them for real estate? That sort of thing.
Like, I don't know, you know, I think again, I'm just like, it's back to this thing where it's like, I don't listen to anybody, right? So it's like people say like, don't start your ads on like, you know, Friday night. It's like my best running ads, like I get leads all weekend long. I'm going to start them Friday night, right? Or like I'll start an ad like Sunday and it works fine, right? Or sometimes I'll start an ad on a Sunday and then it generates no leads Mondays and Tuesdays. Like it's just, I don't know. I think Facebook has kind of like, you know, a mind of its own when it comes to this kind of stuff. Like sometimes you win, sometimes you don't. You just kind of like, you know, you just try to figure things out, right? So I never have a time where I actually start my ads or anything like. I just start them when I need to build them, and that's typically at night. In terms of scaling, usually like I'll do the 20% rule, and also like I'll do the 20% rule, which is basically if I have a campaign that, or an ad set that's running, I'll increase the budget by 20%. Usually every 2 days or so, and I'm very, very nervous about this because there have been many times where I've done this, where I've scaled like a performing ad set, and I've scaled it by 20%, and I've gone back into the following day and scaled it by 20%, and all of a sudden my lead cost starts to shoot up. Now, I don't know if that's because of what I just did, or that just happened to be that something else was going on. Maybe, you know, it just got really competitive on that day or anything like that. Like I haven't done enough testing to say for sure that's what happened. But now what I do is I'll typically scale by 10 to 15% every second day is usually what I'll do. And I get it. That's really, really slow. It's like, you know, like over time. But like I have campaigns, like I was looking at one today. It's been running for 4 months. The exact same ad copy, same pictures, same everything for like, I think it's like almost, it's like probably like 3.5 months right now. And I've just been scaling it like every couple of days. I've been adding more money to it, more money. And I haven't built for that one client. I have not built another campaign for them since we started. It's just been, yeah, leads have been coming in for like $3.20 ever since.
Oh my God, that's a killer campaign, man.
I love that campaign. That's
That's my baby.
And they pay good money for it, and you know, but I watch it all the time, and we just you know, adding money to it. So you know, another good strategy is just duplicating your campaigns and then, you know, adding some budget to the ad set. You know, something that you don't want to do is making sure that, you know, with performing ad sets is making sure not to, I see a lot of people where they'll start mucking around inside of the ad set and they'll start changing the targeting, and like that basically resets everything. Like basically starting over. Like once you start doing that to your ad set, you might as well just start over. So, you know, just be careful with those, especially if they're performing.
Yeah, awesome. That was really helpful. What about headlines, man? What are some killer headlines that work, that capture people's attention?
Yeah. So I've done a lot of research. You know, I think I'm a little like I'm like kind of like Jeff Miller, right? Where he's really into this research stuff, and so am I, right? And I really took that to heart. And the reason why I started doing a lot of research with my clients is because I wanted to, I was sick and tired of failing. I was like, you know, when I first started this, I was like, there's got to be like a reason why this isn't working. So I started doing, every client that I started working with, I started doing research with those clients, and I didn't care whether we were running the same ad in one city to the next, because what I started finding out is that buyers and sellers in one city are different than buyers and sellers in the next city.
They talk differently.
Exactly. They talk differently. Their pain points are different. The challenges are different. So you go from a market that is that's kind of like a stable market where there's the same amount of buyers as the same amount of sellers. And like those people will, like the sellers will have different challenges, as in like where if you go into a market where houses are selling within 24 hours, right? The sellers have different challenges. So I started running a lot of research inside of every single city that I was working in. And so just based on that, you then start building your copy. And so it's it's the same way that, Dan teaches, basically call it the pain points within the first couple of sentences.
Mhm.
A big pain point, I would say the number one pain point across most of the research that I've done is price, location, and buying a house that's move-in ready are typically the
Mhm.
price being the number one. So, you need to focus on those three things, especially price. And then the other big thing is pictures, because like
Yep.
people are so visual when they're looking for homes, right? That's what they're attracted to. And I think so, as long as you formulate, your headlines, obviously, call out your audience. And I think you talk about this as well.
Mhm.
If you're doing something inside of in Clearwater, for instance, attention Clearwater home buyers, or attention Clearwater, sellers, or whatever, right? And
Mhm.
like usually the next one that I'll do, and I test one of two of these. The next one will be, I'll highlight the price. So we'll do like, wow, homes under 350,000. Like that's the next line. So that
Mhm.
highlights the biggest pain point. And then I'll go into
Nice.
pain points, which will be like, are you looking for a house at the best price in the best location that is move-in ready? Like those are the three biggest pain points, right? Like I'll do
Yep.
that. And then like, but again, it changes for different, like for like
Mhm.
our retirement properties, that like I have one right now for retirement properties that's running. That's a little bit different for that, right? Are you looking to, get into an affordable home that's not as large as your first one? Things like that, right? Or if you're
Mhm.
looking for, sellers are totally different. Everybody thinks that sellers, care about, commissions and, making more money and all that kind of stuff. If you do the research, that's not what sellers care about, or in
Mhm.
a lot of places, that's not really what they care about. So just do your
Mhm.
research. Yeah.
Nice. Love it. Cool. Guys, thank you so much for being here. If you found value in this, give us hashtag value down below. If you have any last questions, give us those questions right now and Shayne will answer them. But we've kept him here long enough and he's dropped so much helpful information. Dude, this has been sweet. I feel like I can run a real estate ad now. I'm not
Yeah.
gonna try, but
Listen, let me just for the audience, because I know that like I'm the kind of guy that loves to help. Like I really enjoy helping people. I want to see people succeed at this. I know it can be really, really hard. There's a reason why you don't do real estate stuff, and that's, I know why. I mean, there's no instant gratification with it. It's hard. It takes
Yep.
months to get results, right? So here's some tips, and I'm gonna drop these
Cool.
because maybe this will help out your group or anybody out there.
Heck yeah.
Number one thing, and this really, really helped me out when I started pitching real estate brokerages, teams, and individual agents, focus on the ROI. That's all these people care about. They don't care that you can generate leads. They don't care that you can do Facebook ads. Just really focus on the ROI and the opportunity, the actual numbers, right? So figure out, if you're going to spend this much on budget, what's it going to cost? How much money can they expect? How many opportunities can they expect? How long is that going to take? And just, and that's going to go a long way, because real estate agents, brokerages, teams really care about the ROI. The second tip is set your expectations up front. And that goes a long way if you can, really set the expectations. So the reality is that real estate takes, like, generating leads is easy, but getting actual results, it takes time. And in our case, it can take, like, we're starting to find out that it's anywhere between 2.5 months to 4 months from lead to transaction. And that means, like, that transaction, even though there's that means that's how long that agent or that brokerage or that team is going to get paid. So they have to invest all that money up front for you to start generating leads and so on, in order to get paid and then pay your bill, right? So it's not like you're generating instant sales or instant gratification for these people. So making sure that you set the expectations up front is critical, so that you're basically bringing on customers that are willing to make that investment, that long-term investment, right? And then I had a third one, and what that was now, I was thinking about this, but yeah, the ROI and the setting the expectations, that's something that's really definitely that's helped me along the way. Keep it simple too. Like real estate's not hard, and we generate leads all day long. And it's everybody thinks they've got to build out these massive PDF guides and all this other stuff. Like the easiest thing that you can do is use the agent's listings that you're working with. I mean, that's the easiest
I love that.
to generate leads. So
yeah, and get sexy pictures of the house and everything.
Exactly. Pictures, price. Yeah. That's what matters.
So we'll make up for that missing the third point, because I missed these questions here. If we can just roll through them real quick.
I've got all night.
Heck yeah. So can't see this person's name, but do you only target locally or other areas too?
So when I do, like when I set up the ad set, like I won't, there's an option there where it says like people that live here or people that have been here are all people. I'll just leave it at all people. So most of the clients that I'm working with, they're not looking for clients that are out of state or out of country or anything like that. So we typically will target locally, but I just had, we're just about actually to close on a listing from a guy in Brazil that is buying a house in Florida. And he saw the ad, and he's like, it's honestly, this is going to be one of our best testimonials. I think he's buying a house that's like $1.2 million or something. That's like, and he's like from Brazil, like it's crazy. So this was just another one of those, So, but that's like a lead from, that lead came in December. Like it's crazy. That's how long it's taken to convert that lead.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's crazy. So yeah, when we do targeting, like it's mostly for the local areas, and we don't go beyond that. But I never change that option where it says like, do you want to use, or do you want to target to people that live here, or just all? I always leave it at all people.
That's awesome. Again, another question here. Thanks for sharing all of this, Shayne. Also, before you answer this question, let's plug your group, because your group, Free Strategy Group on Facebook, all about real estate. If you guys are in the real estate niche, go to Shayne's group. He'll drop a link down below, but what's the name of it?
Real Estate Marketing Pros.
And you got your partner with you.
That's right. So William Hyder and I decided to partner up and start this group up. And it's loaded with other people that are doing real estate marketing, and it's a great group. Honestly, I think for real estate, it's probably one of the better groups out there. Everybody's dropping so much value. People are posting up their copies and showing their ads and targeting and stuff. Like it's a really cool group. We try to go live every once in a while in there, just drop some more value. We did a really good one with Stephanie Daniki that most recently. She's ton of value in that group. So yeah, definitely a good group if you're in the real estate niche.
Love it. And Shayne will drop the link down below. And if you guys want to be in that group, give us a hashtag group, and Shayne will personally either drop a comment under that comment that you leave, hashtag group. But for the next question, do you ever run into any trouble with fair housing compliance in targeting, copy, etc.? Any tips for navigating that?
So this is the crazy part with the fair housing stuff. So first of all, because I'm from Canada, we don't have those rules here. So when I started working with US clients, nobody ever told me about this, right? And I only found out about this through a group where I had another marketer tell me like, oh, you have to do this and this and this and this and this. And I'm like, okay, well, I haven't yet, so I'm not doing it. And none of my clients have said anything about it. However, I feel responsible, right? Because I am the expert. I should know about this. And so I did a little bit of research. And yeah, after I started doing some research, I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm going to comply here. So what we started doing is, and this was the really interesting part, is when I build out a campaign. So for instance, you're not really supposed to, like, it can be seen as against the rules if you start targeting by age demographics. So what we started doing, so I'll do like a campaign from 28 to 65, and then I'll run a campaign from 18 to 27 at $1 a day. The crazy part about it is those dollar a day campaigns generate leads for like 50 cents. Like people opt into those. I don't track the quality of those leads, so I don't really know if they're any good or not. But who knows? There might be a 26-year-old out there with $1 million in the bank, and he's just looking for a house, right? You never know. But so that's what we started doing with that like the fair housing stuff. It was we just started making sure we were building out campaigns or ad sets that where we were just like putting $1 a day towards those.
Interesting. Did not know about that.
I know.
Next question, tips for recruiting new agents to a brokerage.
Yeah, and that's huge. Like, so when I do my sales pitch for brokerages, part of my pitch is that my service, like I basically, I am selling my service and I become a marketing partner for the brokerage. And now what you can do, Mr. Owner of the brokerage, is now you can go out and promote that you generate leads because you have your own marketing company that does this for you and attract more agents and so on. And this is a big thing for brokerages. This is how they make money, is by attracting more agents, right? So that's one thing that I do inside, like when I pitch brokerages, I always remind them that the service that we're providing will attract more agents to the brokerage because that's what they want, right? Now, in terms of agent recruiting, so I actually did training. One of my clients invited me to do some agent recruiting training with them. So I did like a big course for like a day or something. And basically there's a lot of work. Like you can run ads, and we do run ads for agent recruiting. The way we do them is basically, a couple of videos about how amazing the brokerage is, testimonial videos, and it's like this big branding campaign that we run. And all this leads into an application form for the agents. So they're basically applying, and I say applying, it's like they're applying to the brokerage, and those seem to work well. But there's still a lot of work for the agents and the brokerages, if they're sponsoring agents or they're looking to attract. I still suggest that they get on Facebook and friend request a bunch of other agents, or even the agents that are engaging with the ads, and try to convert those agents in that way, because a lot of it, especially on Facebook, is all about relationship building, especially if you want to get agents to move from one brokerage to another. The other thing too, timing's a big one, and we find that agent recruiting is best done November, December, because in the new year is where agents start making decisions about whether or not to jump ship from one brokerage to the next. So you want to do those campaigns like November, December, and then you start working those leads through like January, February, March.
Cool.
At least that's what
you were dropping the value bombs. I love it, my man.
Yeah, man. I keep going all night long, whatever. Like if you guys want more stuff.
Can't stop one stuff. So one thing that I do want to touch on, because it's super important with real estate, is going a little bit more in depth with the follow-up process. We have a question, I believe it was from Andrea here, asking about the follow-up process. So you mentioned some of the systems that you use, and that it's pretty lengthy with the text messages, calls, and emails, but are there any more tips that you can give people for quick wins with follow-up?
I think the biggest thing is making sure you set the expectation with the agent that you're working with. So, and I realize that a lot of people are working with individual agents, and I think it would be really, really helpful to you if you were to set those expectations right up front. So, Mr. Agent, I want to do this for you. I want to work with you. I know I can generate you leads, but the leads are cold. And when you get them, this is what you need to do. So I actually built like this 7 steps. I don't remember what I called it, but it's basically like 7 steps on how to convert a dead cold lead into a customer. And I used to hand that off to the agents that I worked with. In fact, I used to use it as bait to get more agents when I started doing this. And it just basically details exactly what the agents can expect and what they need to do. And it's not just phone calls. It's not just text messages. It's everything else that an agent has to do, which is engaging on social media and, you know, sending friend requests to these leads that are coming in. Like with Active Campaign, for instance, when we're capturing leads, we can see all the social, like who they are on Facebook, who they are on Twitter, and things like that, right? Like, and now for us, we have access to the owners. And it's part of our requirements is that we need access to your Facebook accounts so that we can do this for you, because I know you're not going to do it. So we do all this for the customers that we work with, but we'll go in and we'll start friend requesting all the leads. We'll send them like a nice little message. But this is what your agents need to do. And that's how they can start nurturing those leads, right? There's no quick wins with real estate. That's the problem, is it takes time. Every once in a while you'll get a lead that is ready to list a house or ready to buy a house right away. But the majority of those 50 leads or 100 leads or 200 leads you're generating, the majority of those will take time to convert into a customer. The majority of them won't convert into a customer, but the ones that will take time, and they require nurturing. So I think the biggest tip is work with somebody that's willing to do all the follow-up that's required, or has a team that can do it for them. And just set the expectation at the beginning and help your agent, right? Like, don't just generate leads, you know, put together a little, like, you know, these are the things that you need to do. These are the scripts for phone calls. These are emails that you need to, like, so the email package that we provide, like, I sell this to other marketers so that they can go out and help their clients, right? So they go to their clients, say, hey, we've got this 90-day drip campaign or 180-day drip campaign. Let me install this for you so that you can nurture these leads. We actually convert leads through the campaigns. It's crazy. So like I'll get, like, I've got this email for mortgages where people will respond to we booked 2 leads from the response to the more. It's not 2 leads is not a lot. I get it. It's not a lot, but it's 2 more leads that could be worth like $20,000, right? And they responded to the mortgage emails, and we booked them with a lender. So
that's awesome.
Yeah. So
Magic's in follow-up.
Yeah, I think just, you know, helping your agents with the follow-ups, just providing as much value as possible, and just showing them what they need to do, you know, it goes a long way.
100%. Cool. I think we're out of questions from everybody here, but you filled them up with value. I don't think they have any more questions to ask. So if you guys want to be a part of Shayne's awesome Facebook group, Real Estate Marketing Pros, give us a hashtag group down below. It's a free strategy group. Like he was saying, they drop in like the ad copy and like all that good stuff in the group. Super helpful. So Shayne, thank you so much for being here, man.
Andrew is good, man.
And we'll probably
together, yeah.
I know it's been forever, and I will probably have you on again at some point. But everybody that's on here, thank you so much. If you got value out of this, give us a heart, give us a like, give us a hashtag value down below as well. I hope you guys enjoy these interview series because I enjoy giving them. I don't know. That was a terrible ending. But I will talk to you guys later. Shayne, thank you so much.
Okay.